Ty Security Guy here. Let's talk about deepfakes and ChatGPT and interviews. You're going to experience this. It's going to happen. You're going to have a candidate who's wearing someone else's face. You're going to have a candidate who has perfect answers. So, what are some things you can do to kind of detect if somebody is utilizing AI or if someone is actually pretending to know more than they actually do? So, first thing let's talk about is deepfake. So this is the ability for an individual to wear a mask, a digital mask that can make them look and appear like anyone, from celebrities to, in theory, since I put enough video content out, somebody could build a model, and they could be Bowtie Security Guy. So what do you do? There are going to be services, and there already are some services that you can pay someone who's really technical to take the interview for you wearing your face. That's going to become more and more of a common thing. That's going to be something that you'll see in the mainstream, just like you see with AI resumes now. AI resumes, every resume I look at is perfect. It's like, oh man, this person's amazing. How they've got all these skills, and then my recruiter interviews them, and they know none of those things. It's just the AI built the resume specifically to my job description. Frustrating when you're trying to find the best candidate. Even more frustrating knowing that there's so many people who could have been qualified for that job who didn't get a chance to even be seen because the amount of fake resumes and other things that you're getting are just astronomical. So, what can you do? First, with deep fakes, you want to have every candidate put their hand in front of their face. It seems stupid, but the mask doesn't really know how to deal with that. Have them turn their head, have them turn both ways, have them move away from the camera. Those are all things that the deep fakes algorithm can't really handle, and have them turn off all video filters. That will pretty much eliminate 90% of the deep fake tools that are out there. Not all of them. There's a 10% that many of us security researchers know about, but are trying very hard not to share, but trying to share awareness on, that compensate for things like hands in front of the faces, that compensate for head moves and head tilts. We're not completely there yet, but we are getting very, very close. It's something that you should be aware of, and it's something that you should be mindful of when hiring because it's a serious issue. The second part of this is people using ChatGPT. You can have them share their screen to show that they don't have ChatGPT on their same computer, but many of them have gotten smart enough. I recently busted a guy during an interview who was using ChatGPT, um, because I trusted my gut, right? Every response that he had was, give me a moment to think about that. Or they would tell me like a random anecdote while they were waiting for the AI to prompt. And then they would give me the absolute perfectest answer ever. I sensed something was up, and I asked my team to drop off the call. And I said, I could t tell you're using ChatGPT. I watched your eyes continue to go to another screen area. What's going on? What's happening? And they broke down. They're struggling right now. They're looking for any advantage to get an interview. They can barely put food on the table. I had a lot of sympathy for that person. But at the same time, I said, look, I understand your situation, but you've now taken this interview opportunity away from somebody who truly deserved it. I'm sure, like a lot of us tech people, you could pick up these skills and you could be decent in a few months. But I need somebody who can hit the ground running, who actually understands the technology. They apologized ad nauseum, and I accepted that apology and offered to work with them and mentor them because it was hard. They never reached out after that, but the offer was there. So, as an employer, you need to really think about your questions and make sure they're very different. Scenario-based questions are harder for AIs to answer, and then always follow up with why do you think that? Or tell me more what your thought process is on that. If I ask somebody, hey, what's the best network topology for security, or I say like, hey, can you tell me what the best, antivirus scanner is in your opinion? They can give an answer via ChatGPT, but then you ask them why they think that, and they might have a hard problem responding. Or in the middle of them talking, say, no, that's pretty good. But you mentioned this. Tell me a little bit more about that. If they can't fluidly go into that train of thought, I mean, they may be neurodiverse. Some of us neurodiverse people have a hard time kind of switching subjects quickly, or more likely they're using ChatGPT or something along those lines to prompt. And if you stop them mid read and ask them another question, it can take the AI engine a few moments to do that. So they'll stall for time. They'll say, that's a really great question. Let me think about that. You asked specifically, blah, 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 blah. They may be saying the words out loud specifically so the AI can actually use it as a prompt, or they may be having a friend near them typing it. Keep in mind, a lot of times people are wearing earbuds. One of them could be a buddy answering those questions or ChatGPT answering those questions, and the other one is you. You just simply don't know. So you've really got to trust your gut. And the final thing that I want to share with you is overemployed. It's a forum on Reddit that you should really well verse yourself in because if you have somebody who hasn't been doing their job or you hired them and they haven't been able to deliver, you may have somebody who is from that forum or basically just part of that culture who are working multiple jobs. I have a buddy who has multiple jobs. I've tried to get him to come on the podcast and some other things anonymously to share his story. But really, he got fed up with being laid off multiple times. So now he works three or four jobs at the same time. And he does one job really well, which he calls his safe job. And then he does three jobs decently. He's late to meetings. He doesn't show up on time. He'll miss appointments. He'll miss deadlines. But it takes so long to fire someone in corporate America. He can keep that job where he's doing literally nothing for 3 to 4 months. And his logic is, who cares? I can understand his point that a lot of companies have given up on loyalty for their employers. I know it can feel that way. I know many mentees who have been hired and laid off in the same 6 months, or sometimes it got laid off even before they started. So I can understand that mindset. So if you're a new company or you're a startup or you're a current company, you need to add a provision in your contract that specifically states that you cannot have a second job. I know it's terrible. I know people should have the right to work in the evenings if they have more time. But the reality is, unfortunately, it's become a very big problem for the industry, and it's going to continue to be a problem. And with things like AI making every candidate damn near perfect, deepfakes making a candidate literally anyone, um, you've got to prepare for these things and you need to be aware of them. That's all I got. I wanted to share some of those tips and tricks with you as an interviewer, as a recruiter, as whatever. If you're not doing in-person interviews, which many times we're not, the odds are you're going to get at least one that's using ChatGPT or one that's using a deep fake to pretend they're somebody they're not. Imagine having somebody who's super technical do the interview for you, but wear your face. That happens. And it's going to keep happening, and it's only going to get worse as the technology becomes more and more readily available for attackers. So stay safe out there.